My motivation to pursue a master's degree in early childhood education comes from a desire to enhance a child's way of looking at the world. Everyone does not see everything the same. We are all unique, each deserving the chance to explode knowledge and influence upon this world. Children are the building blocks to unimaginable accomplishments. I want to be a part of this construction process. My goal is to enrich the lives of children in all aspects of life and use my education and knowledge to enhance their educational experience. I have targeted goals that I plan on pursuing upon completion of this degree. I am interested in the Special Services Department of Northeast Independent School District, an instructional division who travels to and assists campuses with challenging children, as well as furthering my education towards a doctorate degree. The themes in this course have broadened my spectrum of the term education in many ways. The education enterprise elaborates on how the education system has developed over many years. Golden touches on the equality aspect of educational evolution. By the 1840s, U.S. literacy rates were high and schooling was widespread among the free population. Following the Civil War, almost every state in the nation was publicly funded at the elementary level. The equality of education was quite established at this point. However, Southern states had laws which prohibited slaves from being taught to read, and those that were free were still segregated. In relation to educational evolution, Ladson and Billings discuss the achievement gap in correlation with national debt. National debt has led to limited schooling resources. This can dramatically affect schools in the lower income regions. Resources can drive educational outcome. Funding can provide new technology, updated curriculum, higher pay scales for teachers, better after-school programs, and new opportunities for educational programs, which pertain to all levels of education. Another term indicative of change is progressive education. John Dewey's idea of progressive education had an immense impact in educational history. It is vital that classrooms and educators represent the student. In my pursuit of teaching professionally, I will strive to ensure all students are comfortable and safe in their learning environment. I want to understand my students and where they are coming from. Interdisciplinary learning and teaching emphasize the collaboration of multiple fields of study in the pursuit of top education. In his article, Moran describes interdisciplinarity as a buzzword being used often in academia. What is considered a specific discipline and where it ranks on the importance scale in academia varies. For example, around the 1830s, the term science referred specifically to natural sciences, not to include philosophy. In 1960, B.R. Clark described disciplines as tribes or constructions, in which ways of thinking and operating were controlled by parameters of the interest group. Ultimately, the specific terms of a discipline and the stature it holds is debatable. In a related article, Nasani presents a defense for interdisciplinary knowledge and research, providing 10 important argument sections. In my pursuit of teaching professionally, I feel providing support for all disciplines is the key to the success of all disciplines. I personally have combined the field of psychology with education. Both will enhance my teaching profession equally. Behavior plays an important role in every classroom. Given my prior knowledge, I will be able to analyze and better assist students in their daily struggles and accomplishments. Social justice in education elaborates on many facets. In Annion's journal selection, the argument is that certain knowledge and curriculum is given to specific populations of students. It is theorized that the advantaged population is offered skills which will lead to social power and reward, whereas the working class population is offered that which will lead to more appropriate avenues with less stature. Freire's book also introduces two sides of education by discussing the terms oppressors and oppressed. In order to overcome oppression, the oppressed must not become the oppressors of the oppressors, but rather restore humanity on both ends. Another key term used is banking, the banking concept of education relating to teacher deposits. The teacher deposits information into the student's head. However, the discovery and expansion of the mind is lost, leaving only unfruitful tidbits of information. A comparison is given between the banking process of education and oppression, thus providing similarities to students and the oppressed. Lastly is prejudice. Being able to recognize one's own identity and specific privileges enhances the ability to see those in others. Such reflection allows educators to understand and relate to the struggles and diversified attributes of students. In my pursuit of teaching professionally, my goal is to be able to recognize these characteristics in my students as to better provide the appropriate outlet to their situations or struggles. Taking the time to investigate why a student behaves a specific way will impact the success of my classroom and efforts toward equality. Learning theories enhance educational environments. These verifiable techniques from each theory allow educators to manage their classrooms based on proven strategies. Behaviorism addresses the impact of the environment. Cognitivism emphasizes a learner's internal knowledge base. Constructivism describes meaning coming from experience. Situated learning involves participants in communities that act on the world. Constructionism explains the necessity of learning by creation and the tools of today that could dramatically affect the educational arena, and adult learning holds several assumptions, basing the engagement process on inadequacy. Being able to apply these theories throughout my career will enhance my practice tremendously. Whether I fixate on one or all, these classic learning theories all have prevalence to any learning platform. Skinner's component explaining human behavior is termed the body-cum-brain, which correlates to the physical attributes such as cells, tissues, and organs among electrical signals. The concept of consequences is introduced in correlation to behavior analysis. Someone will do or not do something with notions of limitations, boundaries, or rules in hindsight. These consequences drive and shape our daily motivations. The concept of rule breaking and how that drives actions is interesting. It can also be related to how one conducts a classroom. Students are more likely to participate in activities that serve in their favor or strike a desire. Having consequences are important as well as rewards for specific behavior. This give and take type of system works well in a variety of social situations and circumstances. Piaget's component of the stimulus response schema is also intriguing. It is presented that rather than a stimulus occurring first, a response takes place initially. It is explained to be a circular schema rather than a line. Rather than just a stimulus and a response, there is an organism with structures amid that connection. This notion can be supported with the concept of having a multitude of learning opportunities in the classroom. Every child learns differently, and a teacher must take note of different learning strategies. In Vygotsky's article, focus lies on the zone of proximal development. It encompasses the child's potential to accomplish future goals of development. The standpoint is that children taught by level is not necessarily the best strategy for development. Rather, teaching beyond level curriculum might enhance a child's educational development. The thought process behind teaching students above grade level curriculum is intriguing and might be very beneficial in the classroom. In Lave and Wanger's article, the concept legitimate peripheral participation relates to the process in which a person initiates and begins to interact with others on a social plane. Becoming a full participant is the ultimate goal. The interconnected members must use each other to strive. Amidst my professional career, I find it pertinent to collaborate with colleagues and other educators. Sharing knowledge and supporting each other is key to success. In Papert and Harrell's article, a comparison is first introduced in regards to constructivism versus constructionism. Constructionism adds the vector of being engaged in what one is learning or trying to discover. Another notion explained was learning by creating and doing, thus supporting the idea of having enticing and inviting curriculum available to students of all ages. Computer-aided technology can provide this type of learning. I enjoyed the emphasis on how students were not simply sponges. They are not present in classrooms to listen and memorize. Rather, they are active, free-thinking individuals capable of finding new roads in the already paved path. Computer programs give educators the opportunity to advance the practice of educating. In my pursuit of teaching professionally, I plan on integrating technology in my classroom. From simple games like Kahoot to Jeopardy science games, the possibilities are endless. In Knoll's article, learning for adults was introduced. Inadequacy can be deemed the motivation behind pursuing something greater. As a teacher, I find this to be true. In a classroom, I find myself constantly wondering how I can make a lesson more interesting, how to think outside the box with activities, and how to entice students' learning desire. Providing an inclusive, globally accepting learning environment is key when teaching. The educator has a responsibility to learn about their students' backgrounds to include specific needs, learning disabilities, socioeconomic status, and any other attributes that may affect their learning experience. Providing resources and outlets for all students will enhance and encourage a safe, wide-range learning environment. In Lee's article, 3 instructional models are introduced and dissected that pull construction from scaffolding. I found the storytelling aspect of the second model quite interesting and something that I would like to see more of in the classroom setting. This type of language development stems from the tradition of indigenous storytelling, which allows students to feel more comfortable in their classroom environment, thus promoting a healthy learning environment. In Meyer's article, the definition of sexual diversity is given with regards to orientation, identity, and behavior. In terms of education, a diverse population intermingles with the notion of having some students feeling excluded or discriminated against because of their diversified sexuality. Stigmas associated with sexual diversity range broadly. Leadership plays a major role in providing safe environments in schools. Providing clear, defined guidelines to the school's policies in regards to harassment and discrimination is key to establishing this type of environment. Community involvement and support is always helpful in maintaining a healthy learning environment for all students. In Harrower's article, the controversial matter of full inclusion is discussed. The civil rights movement and the social development theory supports the notion of children with disabilities being integrated into the regular instructional classroom. In Prensky's article, the term digital native refers to the student of today. The term digital immigrant refers to people not born in this era. It is clear that the student today is much more fluent in digital language than years ago. Techniques and learning processes must be tweaked in order to retain attention in the classroom. Educators must not only evolve in regards to their practices of teaching, but also adopt new, ever-changing technology concepts. By doing so, the educators become aware of their students' interests and ways of thinking. Many platforms in school now have digital attributes that can be combined with the lesson. However, it is up to the teacher to implement these types of combined activities. Many students, including ones with learning disabilities, can relate to this type of technology aimed platform and might benefit from an increasingly digital classroom. Drawing conclusions from all themes and articles, my action plan is simple: to attempt to integrate all of it. I will fundamentally make the effort to be informed and communicate with my colleagues and implement safe, ethical learning platforms into the classroom.